Hello and welcome to Total IELTS. Peter here, and in today's video I'll be looking at how using complex sentences in IELTS writing and speaking can boost your band scores. First of all, this is not a grammar lesson. Instead, I'll be looking at how complex sentences are graded, what they are and why you should use them, how to practice complex sentences with examples from IELTS writing and speaking. A quick glance at the IELTS writing and speaking public band descriptors, that's the grammatical range and accuracy criterion, and you'll notice how often complex sentences are mentioned. And the higher the band score you get, the more complex your sentences are. In the IELTS writing band descriptors, band 7 in grammatical range and accuracy, it says a variety of complex sentences is used. And in speaking band 7, a range of basic and complex sentences are used. So what are complex sentences or structures? Well, let's start with clauses. Basic or simple sentences have a subject, a verb, and often an object, and are called an independent clause because they make sense on their own. For example, he completed the task. A dependent clause has a subject and a verb but doesn't make sense on its own. For example, although he was tired, it relies on the independent clause to make sense. So when we combine them using a subordinating conjunction, it makes sense and is a complex sentence. Example, he completed the task although he was tired, or although he was tired, he completed the task. Notice the punctuation here. When the dependent clause comes first, we must use a comma. Dependent clauses start with a subordinating conjunction. That's a big grammar term there, but basically these are linking words, such as before, even though, if, unless, because, whereas, etc. Here are some examples of complex sentences you can use in your writing and speaking. Now, don't worry too much about the grammatical terms, but if you want more information about them, use the term when you search for examples. Subordinate clauses. Here are two basic sentences. She was ill, she took the test. By putting them together with a subordinating conjunction, you can produce a subordinate clause. Even though she was ill, she took the test. Or, she took the test even though she was ill. The conjunction even though sets up a contrast that adds depth and complexity to the sentence. Relative clauses provide additional information about the noun in your sentence. They often begin with a relative pronoun, such as who, which, that, or whose. For example, the book has excellent sales. The book, which was published last year, has excellent sales. The clause, which was published last year, gives extra information about the book, making the sentence more informative and, of course, complex. Conditional clauses describe scenarios that are dependent on certain conditions. Words like if, when, unless, or provided that are commonly used here. For example, if you practice regularly, your IELTS score will improve. Another complex structure which is often overlooked is the passive. We use the passive when we focus on the action rather than who did it, because who did it is either not relevant, not important, or not known. It's particularly useful for academic writing task 1, where you're asked to write a report. For example, the teaching equipment was replaced by modern technology. We don't know who did this, so it's more appropriate to use the passive. It wouldn't be complete without a shout out to all the many and varied tenses in English, which range from the simple ones such as present, past, and future simple. And note here they are called simple for a reason, up to the more complex tenses such as present perfect continuous and past perfect continuous. So it stands to reason if you're using mostly simple tenses, then you're not demonstrating a range of complex ones. So, why should we be using these complex sentences? Well, first of all, it showcases your grammatical range. Examiners look for a range of structures or sentences, both basic and complex. So, the more complex your sentences are, the higher band score you're going to get in grammar. What's more, complex sentences have a positive effect on coherence and cohesion and fluency. That's because they link ideas smoothly by improving their coherence. In addition, it also shows off your ability to use cohesive devices and discourse markers, which makes your writing and speaking more persuasive and easier to follow. Complex sentences allow you to express more sophisticated ideas. For example, although the benefits are clear, many still resist change. This complexity helps convey more refined thoughts that simple sentences cannot capture. Of course, it's crucial to practice, but it's important to remember that improving your grammar doesn't happen overnight and takes many years of study, practice, and feedback. I wouldn't recommend that you sit down with the grammar book and work your way from start to finish. Not only would this be incredibly boring, but there's just too much information to absorb. Instead, make sure that you include studying and practicing grammar as part of your IELTS study plan. Let's move on to some strategies you can use to improve your use of complex sentences. Daily writing exercises can help you become more comfortable and familiar with complex sentences. Aim to write at least 3 complex sentences each day, and when in doubt, always get feedback from an IELTS teacher. Reading high quality material will expose you to complex sentence structures in context. Pay attention to how authors use a variety of structures to express their ideas and try to copy their style in your own writing and speaking. When practicing your speaking, make a conscious effort to use complex structures to explain your ideas. Consider practicing with a partner and recording yourself to refine your confidence and delivery. Improving your IELTS writing and speaking skills is closely linked to mastering complex sentence formation. These sentences not only showcase your grammar, but they also get the attention of examiners. As you prepare for the IELTS exam, be patient and realistic, and remember that regular practice is crucial. The more you focus on constructing complex sentences, the easier it becomes. With dedication and consistent practice, you can significantly improve your IELTS writing and speaking skills through the effective use of complex sentences.